Hey everybody, this is FIDE Master Kostya here for Chess.com's YouTube channel, and today I wanted to show you guys some highlights from the ongoing 2013 World Cup held in Norway. This event, as you all know, is a qualifier for the Candidates Tournament next year, which is a qualifier for the World Championship match. So obviously a very important tournament, lots of very strong players playing this event, and today I wanted to just show you guys some highlights from the tournament. So the position you see here is from the game Eljanov versus Karjakin. Eljanov is a strong GM, close to 2700 from Ukraine. He's playing white. Karjakin is been in the world's top 10 from the last few years. Very strong player, and this was one of the rapid games during their tiebreak. So here the position is pretty quiet. I would say it's very close to equal. Neither side really has much. They both have an equal number of pieces, and they're both developed quite normally. So here white played rook d4. This is kind of a nice move, just simply trying to activate the rook a little bit, maybe thinking about some kind of vague kingside attack, but really it's just a good positional move, getting ready to bring the other rook into the game. So Karjakin played h5. I guess he was a little bit worried about something happening on the h-file, or maybe he wanted to get the g4 square for his knight, but this is kind of a questionable move because of course it weakens the king. We normally don't want to push pawns in front of our king unless we're absolutely sure that the move itself is useful. So Eljanov doesn't need to be asked twice, played queen h6 immediately, just bring his queen close to black's king. And now if knight g4, of course white would play rook takes g4, hg, knight g5 with an immediate checkmate. So here Karjakin played queen c5, rook d1, and now rook d8. And this was actually a serious blunder on Karjakin's end. He should have made almost any other move. After rook d8, white actually has a forced win. So if you guys want to pause the video and try to find it, I would strongly recommend you do so. Eljanov played knight g5, and white is just immediately winning. The point is that their threat is rook f4 and rook takes f6, and black has pretty much no defense to this. For instance, the bishop takes g2, white doesn't waste time recapturing this bishop, they just play rook f4. And black has no defense to this threat, and white is basically winning. Black has to give up their queen, but obviously this is pretty much hopeless. So in the game after knight g5, Karjakin found maybe the only defense, e5, trying to defend this f4 square. But Eljanov very quickly played bishop takes b7, e takes d4. And now the last move of the game, if you guys want to find it, then again I suggest pausing the video and trying to find the best move here for white. And that move is bishop d5. Very strong, placing the bishop against black's king, threatening queen takes g6 check and queen takes f6. And of course the bishop can't be recaptured because of queen h7 mate. So after bishop d5, Karjakin indeed resigned. There's simply no defense. And although this was a great win for Eljanov, he actually ended up losing the match. He lost the next game, and then he lost in the blitz tiebreak. So as you can see, this World Cup has been incredibly exciting, full of all kinds of blunders and upsets and a lot of shocking victories and turnarounds. So the next position I wanted to show you guys is from the game Caruana Malakhov, and this is also from round 3. Caruana is of course one of the world's elite players, and Malakhov is about 2700 from Russia. And here black is very close to winning. Both sides have 2 rooks. Black has 2 extra pawns, but more importantly this g-pawn is just stronger than white's a-pawn, because right now the a-pawn is pretty much prevented from queening. If white tries something like rook d8, black can just play g2, and after white queens, black will happily give up his rook, but make a queen of their own. So black is pretty much winning here in all lines. So Caruana tried the tricky move rook d6. The idea, of course, is that if black takes, white will queen. So Malakhov very rightfully plays g2, allowing white to capture his rook, making a queen of his own, and letting white's pawn queen as well. So at first, the initial thought is that, well, white is up a rook. Why did black go for this? They had a completely winning endgame. But any top player will tell you that, this kind of position must be completely winning for black, because they have a queen and a rook against white's naked king, and of course, it's black to move. That's the most important thing here. Whenever both sides queen at the same time, then whoever turn it is to move first is probably going to deliver checkmate, because both kings are so weak, right? So here Malakhov started with the move queen d4 check. Definitely reasonable, giving a check to the king, getting the queen closer, and of course the king is still cut off along this third rank. So it seems like black is very close to mate, and in fact, they are. So king a2 was played, and now rook b2 check. Another sensible move, the king goes to the back rank, then queen d1 is mate. So king b3 and king a3 are the only moves. So now if king b3, black wins pretty simply with rook b2 check, king a3, queen c3 check, king a4, and a nice move, queen c4 check. Very accurate, and black is going to play queen a2 mate on the next move. So, not wanting to resign and not wanting to give his opponent an easy mate, Caruana played the slightly tricky king a3. So now queen a1 check was played, and I think this is a great move. King b4. And here Malakhov played rook f4 check, which to me is really very hard to explain. I mean, of course he was low on time, but they had increment, and he's a 2700 Grandmaster. You think he'd be able to find some kind of simple checkmate, right? And rook f4 is still winning, but it's not as clear as the simple rook b2 check. I mean, this is the checkmate that we teach pretty much every beginner. The queen and the rook just line up and they go row by row, and it's a very simple mate. King c5, queen c1 check, rook d2 check, king e7, queen e1 check, rook e6, and black wins. I mean, this was pretty standard. I mean, Malakhov must have saw some ghost or some kind of phantom defense, queen d5 at some point or something, but very hard to explain why he wouldn't just go for this. Instead, he played rook f4 check, and now black's queen and rook are slightly, not really in harmony, so it seems like white is getting closer to escaping with his king, right? So white played queen b5, queen e5 check. So black has restored some harmony, but of course white's king is now closer to the safe a7 and b8 squares. King b6. And here, black missed another really, really simple win. He could have just played rook f6 check, king a7, trade rooks, and queen a1 check, winning white's queen and forcing immediate resignation. Instead, he played queen d4 check, and after king c7, things actually aren't so simple. So he played queen e5 check, and Caruana just played rook d6. And suddenly white's pieces are getting into the defense. It's no longer black's queen and rook against white's naked king. An unbelievable turnaround. So black still had some way to make a perpetual, but here he played rook c4 check. And definitely he should have tried rook d4 check, just putting pressure on this pinned rook. But he kept giving checks, and after king d7, believe it or not, white is now winning. Black has no good checks anymore. He played queen f5 check, king d8, and now if queen g5 check, rook e7 just blocks everything, and black is out of checks and just down a rook. So queen c5 was played, rook d7, and at this point, Caruana started to play perfectly because, he has only moves, and he found this nice defense with putting both of his rooks on the d file, and now black is just completely busted. Queen g5 check, rook e7, queen c5, and now white is finally able to give his first check, and black is simply lost. Any move, king h8, is just rook e8 mate. And so here, Malakhov resigned. And I'm sure he was incredibly upset after this game. I mean, to not win a position such as this one here, I mean, it's pretty unforgivable for such a top player in such an important game. This wasn't a casual blitz game on Chess.com. This was the tiebreak for the World Cup. This is a ticket to the World Championship match. But probably this blunder was just caused by simple nervousness. And Caruana ended up winning the next game and won the match and moved on to round 4. So as you can see, the World Cup has been incredibly exciting. And next time I'll offer you guys some more highlights from the first few rounds. Thanks a lot for listening, and I'll see you around on Chess.com.